Oh, hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Micah Wine here, aka Gundam Money Works, and we are live again. Julius is already in the room. He's been waiting very patiently for me to start. He finally made it. Hello, all. Well, I'm the only one here right now, so you're it, buddy. But anyway, welcome in, everybody. We are on part 3 of the Orgus kit. Basically, it's an old kit from 1984. Back then, it was called Robotech Changers. Has nothing to do with Robotech. It was just Revell owning all licenses at that time, and so yeah. So anyway, we're on part 3. I'm doing the basic instructions still doing some modifications, trying to make this a better kit than originally designed, and I'm discovering because it's designed to be variable and can transform into like 4 different modes. So there's a lot of exposed areas, and I'm going to go into a little bit of that in a minute. But anyway, in the meantime, why don't we just start the show properly? All right. So, going back to what I was talking about just a second ago about the kit being variable. So, and I'm noticing this as I'm getting on to some of the steps here. Some of these sections I've started to assemble, and everything's kind of going in subsections and in various stages of completion as far as assembly, because certain things I'm not going to glue together yet, because what I want to do, I think I'm going to do this in an anime paint scheme. So in keeping with that, some of the interiors that you can see into, like the arms, those cavities in certain areas, those need to be painted black. So I will probably end up hand painting a lot of that stuff before I assemble some of these halves, like some of the arm halves and stuff, because I got to do a lot of seam fixing. So typically, hey, what's up, Giovanni? How you doing, man? So what I like to do is paint the interiors blacks. When I glue those pieces together, then if you do happen to see into some of those gaps, you're not going to see anything other than just a dark void, and that's in keeping with the anime theme. I'll go into that a little bit. But last week we were still doing some mods. I started to modify the hands to fit these. I've got an extra set of these 1/100 scale actually Gundam hands. Bandai. It's one of the little accessory sets you can buy. I'm not even sure where I got them. I think it might have been part of a raffle prize or something. But anyway, catching live stream today. I'll be on and off. I'll be working on my kits. Well, that's cool. Thanks, Giovanni. Yeah, man. By all means, have fun and build while you're watching. That's what I like to do. There's George, who a lot of people know, old school Gunpla George. Most of the time I listen to his live streams in the morning on the way to work. I just turn it on and have the audio going so I can listen to him talking. And so, yeah, you can listen in, take a look. I'll make sure I try to keep an eye on the comments if you ask a question or something like that. Anyway, where are we at? So I started to assemble the arms last week, and I was working on the hands and trying to modify these hands to fit, and it actually came out really well. I'm going to show everybody here in a sec. So let's go down to, let's look at the bench. This is basically where we're at. This is a lot of pieces of the feet here, the arm sections, the head, the back, and the chest section. None of this stuff is glued together. Well, most of the back section is here, but the front, I'm still deciding what kind of added details I'm going to add to that before I glue it all together. So let's go down to close up here, and we'll start talking about these hands. So here is this is the hands I fitted to this, and if you look closely, you can see this little faint line. In fact, I'll just use a screwdriver here to kind of put it. So this black line, that is the Mr. Cement, the purple cement. So that's what that line is. And I use that so I could see my lamination. So this is the original piece here. And it also slides in and out of the arm. I may fix that in place. I may not, depending on how I want to pose this. I may end up having, leaving that alone so I can adjust this, the wrist basically to where I want it. But so what I had to do was I laminated a piece of 1.5 mil plastic onto the original piece, and then I sanded it down and beveled the edges to match the angles of the original piece. And then I just basically drew a cross to get my center spot and drilled it out to a 5/32 exact hole. And that, on the back of these hands, this peg right here is 5/32 in diameter. So it was a perfect fit, and it fits in there tight enough. Actually, when I go to, if I try to pull these off, it usually keeps that little wrist piece in there, which is good because that gives me, I can still twist it, but I have the wrist functionality of it now, which I didn't have before. If you look at the original hands, they're just kind of these closed up, kind of ugly looking, just, you can't even separate the fingers. It's just, definitely 1984. And then if we go to the right arm here, I figured closed fist. I still made this hand if I want to change it out, but I think I like the closed fist, especially with the main gun on his arm. And again, I may end up leaving this adjustable here so we can, fix the pose in a way that looks nice to what he's doing. And earlier when I mentioned, I'm just going to drop off this piece. Actually, you know what? I'll just pick up the left arm again here. So let me put this back. What I was referring to earlier about these voids, because this is a variable kit, it's designed to, the hands are supposed to slide in, and then, for various other transformations. But along with the elbow here too, there's a lot of empty space here. So what I'm going to do is I'll end up painting all these interiors black, anywhere around that you can see into these gaps, and that way there won't be any visible holes that you can see. Everything will be just flat black. And then especially on the feet, and I'll get into that in a minute here because that's what I started working on. Apologize ahead of time. I've had a sore throat today for some reason. I think I'm just exhausted. It's been a busy couple of weeks, and with work and everything too, I'm just tired. So if I get a little raspy, you'll understand. I'm going to keep get a little glass of wine here. I could sip on it if I need to. But anyway, so that's where we're at. That's where we were last week. The back section here, we were talking about I laminated some pieces in here to level off the uneven plastic, and then glued these vents in. What is going on? Wow. Okay, give me 1 second. My ceiling fan has decided to start. That's straight. First time that's ever happened. I don't know if you could hear that. It was like this rotational sound. The little drawstring on it has started to rotate as the fan was going, and it just kind of started to rub against the light kit. But anyway, so I glued these in. This is all ready for paint or for primer, and then we'll see how much of this back void I have to fill as well. I'll try that. And then going back to the chest piece, this will be glued in here. I may end up filling in these areas in front and back because it's not going to be transformed at all. So I don't care about those, if those sections are visible, because I'm not going to be moving them. I'm assuming that the kit was designed. I can't remember. It's been so many years since I built this thing the first time, but I think those voids were there to allow for the transformation process. But since I'm only going to be posing it in one form, I don't care, and we'll fill those in. The arms, I've stopped on the arm sections here for that reason, because the next step up was to start building the shoulders. I really didn't want to get into that without doing all that interior painting first, blacking all that out. So I started on the feet. I kind of been jumping around that way just to kind of see how everything's going to fit together. And then once I discuss this, once I can figure out what pieces need to be, or what sections need to be closed off if there's a gap, something that's there for transformation that I don't need to see, then once I figure all that out, then I can start assembling everything finally and priming. So initially, this is just a lot of discovering what needs to be seen and what doesn't. So I started assembling one of the feet here. This is the heel section, and there are no alignment pegs or nothing. This just goes together with one little poly cap. But if you look at this, let's see, where's the other one here? Okay, I'll just take this one off. So this entire back section right here. Now, this lower section is going to have a vent in it like that. Okay, that gives it some detail, finishes this off. I may put a piece of plastic in here to cover up this seam, or just fix the seam normally. It's a little bit more difficult in here. I may just fit a piece of plastic, really thin plastic. It'll be easier. But what I'm talking about is this void here. This entire area is exposed. So the heel is not going to be moved. I'm not going to be moving this polycap at all. For the standing position, this is going to really be here. So what I'm going to try to do, I don't know if I can, because the way this whole fitting is, this actually sticks up above the surface here. So I'm going to try to fill this in with some plastic just to close that off. But I was looking at the assembled kit, the fully assembled kit, and the leg portion will kind of shield this off. The way the leg, the ankle and everything kind of shrouds this area. So I may not need to fill this in, but I'll find that out when I start getting the upper, the lower part of the leg. I mean, when I start assembling that, I'll see how much of this is exposed. If I do have to clean that up, I'm going to try to hide that gap. I just don't like these big open areas. But it's designed to be that way, because if you take the front of the foot here, the front of the foot is designed to fold down into like this position up against the heel, because one of the forms has it. So this whole back piece is completely exposed. There's a huge gap all the way along the back here. But again, I'm not transforming this thing. It's going to be in one piece. So let me see if I can hold this together here. Put this other one on. So if you put these two pieces together, just kind of like that. All right, you see that huge gap all the way down that back piece. Well, that doesn't need to be there. I'm not going to be moving this. So I'm going to fill all that in. I'll put a piece of plastic on here, just cover that up, sand it down to fit the other piece, and then call it a day. Anyway, how's everybody's hump day? It's kind of hot right now up in the hobby room here, so I got the ceiling fan going. Hopefully that's not giving you guys any strange background noise. I think the microphone's pretty good at getting rid of most of that, but hopefully everybody's having a good day, week. This is been the hottest couple of weeks we've had in quite some time. So it's supposed to. It was actually raining yesterday and the day before. It actually rained a little bit, but not today. Today's finally stopped again. It's going to start warming up for the weekend. So I'm going to get my magnifiers on here, and we'll start building some stuff. So Giovanni has said that he is working on his kits. What are you building, Giovanni? Just out of curiosity. If you can answer, go ahead. If not, no big deals at all. Keep on building. And a lot of these parts are real fiddly because they fit kind of loosely to begin with, and then not only that, there's no, no pegs, no line. The only thing that lines it up is like the joint itself. Like this ankle joint is the only thing that kind of lines this piece up. The one that goes on top. There's nothing to line it up. So, boy, definitely old school. I have forgotten just how, stupid some of these parts are to put together. So that obviously we're not going to glue that. I'm just kind of placing this on. I'm going to try to hold the pieces apart like I normally would, just so I can get a decent amount of glue in between the seam. I still want to squeeze out that seam. Once I get this one glued, I'll talk about something else. There is there's a little bit of detail. I just got my finger in it. There's a little bit of detail on the back of this foot. Yeah, let me squeeze this together here real quick and get them lined up. Then I'll talk about what I'm thinking of doing. I'll try to save it first. A lot of times when dealing with a piece like this that has surface details that go right down the middle of the seam, or the seam goes right down the middle of the surface details. A lot of times what I try to do, or what's easier sometimes, you either try to clean this up, or once I get this lined up, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just going to give it one more squeeze. I just want to see that little bit of glue, little bit of bead come out. That'll make that seam disappear a lot easier once it dries. So this one's been glued for a bit longer, so I can show you. So you see these details here. Now that seam goes right down the middle. So I got two choices. I can try to carefully sand this and then use some of my chisels to go through and take all the, redress up all these lines. And then of course then there's this piece down here, and try to sand that without destroying it. Or the other choice I have is to sand them completely off and then just add my own surface details later. A lot of times the latter is a lot easier, because anytime you try to clean these up, you end up just rounding them off. This has a nice square edge to it, so trying to carefully sand it flat is kind of difficult to do without rounding off the corners and just making it look like more like a bump rather than a sharp edge. So I'm going to try to clean it up first. If it doesn't work, then what I'll do is I'll probably just I'll recreate some new ones using some plastic strip, and then I'll sand these off completely. I may even add some additional panel lines to the heel here, just to kind of change it up a little bit, and maybe even to the foot too, the front of the foot. Oh, we got people jumping in here. So Freddie says, "Ooh, silly building stuff." Yeah, how you doing, Freddie? Good to see you. Julia says, "I say sand them off and add the details later." That is probably what will happen. It's what I've done in the past, so that's very true. That's probably what I'll do. Giovanna says, "I was about to do a reverse wash with gold enamel paint. Nice. The piece that I was about to paint had a bad reaction to the all-clad." Oh God, all-clad nightmares. Deal with it tomorrow with a clearer head. I totally understand that. Actually, that's oops. Gosh, why did it just jump ahead? So this is what I wanted to put on here, and then this one. Yeah, aqua gloss. I have aqua gloss. I have not used it yet because I kind of gave up with all clad and metallics. They really make really good metallics, but I think what the biggest problem with their paints right now is they reformulated their gloss black base, and a lot of times it seems like the base never cures fully, and you end up with this kind of sticky mess. Of course, if you're using all clad metallics, they're lacquer based, but you cannot use a clear lacquer over the top of them. You have to use aqua gloss. At least that's what I've heard as well. And it's supposed to work really good, but if you're having a reaction, I don't even know what to tell you. I just think that it's unfortunate because All-Clad used to be so good. I mean, I remember going to my first mono competition in California, and I saw the little tiny thrusters on the leg of a master grade Zaku, and I thought they were metal. I mean, I even said that those are metal, and the guy's like, "No, that's paint." And there's no way that's paint. I mean, it was such a perfect shine to it. But again, I learned the hard way because I did a candy resin Sazavi upgrade about a year later after seeing that, and I found out that when you try to use a clear lacquer, a really aggressive lacquer over the top of All-Clad metallics, just melted it away. I'm surprised that you're saying that Aqua Gloss had a reaction. I thought Aqua Gloss was supposed to be the milder solution to painting on All-Clad metallics. Yeah, hey, what's up, Nick? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Force Goes, how you doing, bud? Good to see you, as always. Aren't you supposed to meet... oh, no, that's Nick. I think Nick's down in Texas, right? Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sorry if I'm screwing it all up. George is supposed to be going down to Texas for his memorial service for his mother-in-law, and he's going to run into Nick. That's right. He's going to meet Nick down there, probably on Saturday or something like that. Anyhow, so let's see. Getting back here, I think I may try to fill this in, but looking at it a second time, I may not be able to. Well, I guess I could. It just has an angle. There's two different angles here. I thought it was a flat piece, but let me look at this. Let me see if I can hold this up. So this kind of takes a turn right here. And I'm only going to be filling in this. The bottom piece won't be, or bottom section will be open. But I think I want to fill this in. So if anybody does kind of see up there, they won't see this whole exposed joint. And I suppose I could paint it black, but that's a third option. And just so you just don't really see it as obviously, but. And like I said earlier, I'm not going to start assembling the shoulders here, like these two steps here, just because I've got a lot of interiors to paint on this stuff first. And most of the time I just go through and use enamels and do it by hand, just because I don't have to worry about brush strokes and interior stuff. And I've got the Tamiya enamels, so they're very very good. Those will work nicely. Right. So, what should I do next? I think I have to even hold off on the feet here, only because I can't really do much until I solve this problem with the heels. So, all right. I guess, let's see. What am I missing? I'm missing one of my, oh, you know what? I think it's still on it's one of these poly caps. Whoa. It's number 20. There it is. I was wondering where it went. I thought I lost it, but I just never cut it off the runner. So that's going to go in here. Really, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to really just put it on this piece. But if you look at this, yeah, Nixon, Texas, that's what I thought. Look at this piece here, like the foot. There's one little tiny peg. You can barely even see it. I don't know if you can see that little tiny alignment peg right there. I mean, gosh, that's all there is. And then the polycap. That's really the only thing that aligns these pieces up. So I'm just going to slide this stuff over, just because I can't really do much to it with it. Oh yeah, and then check these out. The bottom of the foot. It's still kind of hard to see. I'm going to turn it. There we go. One of the best detailed pieces is the bottom of the foot. I mean, come on, guys. You couldn't do that with the rest of the kit? Really? The bottom of the foot. Not to mention they were warped a little bit too, but I think I straightened them out okay just by giving them a little twist. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to start assembling some more of the leg portion here. I can't really do much more of the feet until this stuff dries, and then I'm going to do some plastic filling in these gaps and stuff. So that's the second piece. It's okay there. This one's been dry a little bit longer. Yeah, I don't want to waste time on the stream doing this. That's something that's going to be some tedious work. It's going to be better for doing off camera, I think. So let's start up here on 24. Okay, 112, 107. Let's see. That runner here. All right, 107. There's another piece that will probably not be exposed. It's part of the leg that is made to slide open and kind of expose those surfaces, but in the orgoroid mode, is that all flash? Holy crap, I think that's all flash. This is definitely an old kit. Let's see, look at this. This big old ridge right here. You can even see the line. That is all flash. That's horrible. Giovanni says, I stopped using all-clad for a while, but then I noticed that it was getting better results with the 2mm needle, so I started using it again. So you think maybe, well, but you're still having issues later on with reactions and stuff. I don't think that the airbrush has anything to do with your reaction. I just think it's all-clad formulas are just. I still do use them from time to time. I've done a couple of candy finishes, and I've used all-clad. But typically for definitely for smaller projects and stuff. Like 1 second, folks. Here. Just answer. My daughter texted me here right now. So I'm just going to give her a quick response. I'll probably end up responding to her. So this piece is designed to fit. It's supposed to fit right here. Not too terribly bad. Everything is kind of warped a little bit, but this one fits pretty good. There we go. Looks like that's going to glue in there nicely. All right. And the third piece is 72, which I think is on this runner here. 72. And this is also like some kind of an exhaust vent on the leg. Oops. Oh, come on. Get back on the rudder. There we go. So, this is supposed to fits like that. There we go. So this fits right in here like this. Not bad, not a bad fit. Take a little bit of, oh wow. I'll second that. I mean, it's not terribly bad, but I'm just blown away by the amount of flash on that one piece. So I'm going to have to sand all that down. Again, this is not, you're not going to see any of this really because this is made to open up for one of the other modes. In orgoroid mode, it will not be exposed. So I'm not too concerned about this. I do need to fix all of the vent area here. You are finally able, Throw primer on your first Macross kit. Really? Your first one. What are you building? I'm dying to know. Is it Hasegawa? Or is it Bandai? Or Wave? What are we talking about? Curious. So I'm going to slowly peel off all this flash. There's so much here. It's just like a huge... I'll sand the rest down. I'm just trying to get the bulk of it off. So Giovanni's going to put primer on his first Macross kit. I didn't know which building. That's one of my favorite. It is my favorite anime. Because I'm a child of the 80s, so I grew up with Macross, or the Americanized version of it at the time in the 80s was called Robotech. Everybody knows that. That's what I grew up with. So that's what got me into Japanese anime. So unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, I wasn't exposed to the Gundam universe as much. So I didn't gravitate toward that as much as I would have had I seen a lot more of that as a teenager. You don't know the Macross lingo. What do you mean as far as what kit you're building? Or are you talking about the brand? I'm talking about what brand. Is it a Bandai kit? Is it Hasegawa? Should be able to tell me what kit it is. Oh, Hasegawa 172 VF0A. Okay, so that's from Macross Zero. Very nice. I like it. Hasegawa is really good at their details on, like the panel lines and stuff on their kits. Very, very good. I have to say they got Bandai beat when it comes to that. I have a VF0 Battleroid as well. 172. It might be the same one. Actually, it's not an A though. I think mine's the S. But I also have a. God, that damn thing is swinging again. I tell you, I'm going to turn this fan down one. See if maybe that stops it. The chain for the speed control is just like starts to swing as the fan's going around. Julius, what does Julius say? Sounds like you had a similar childhood in the 80s. Yeah, Macross was what got me into Japanese anime. Yeah, you're correct. In fact, a lot of these kits, like this one, was all stuff. I'm going to go put this on screen. One of the things that, like this kit, was one of the ones that I built during that time period because, if you guys are old enough to remember Kmart. Kmart was like this department store, clothing, mostly clothing and stuff, but it was like cheap clothing, cheap shoes, whatever. But they always had this model, toy section. And I would go there, and that's where I found all these Robotech changers, these cool model kits that were basically the Bandai variable Macross kits, that they were selling in Japan. It's just Revell cornered got all the licenses for them and started naming them whatever they wanted to. They called one of the Valkyries the Nebo. Oh, this one's called the Nebo. There was I don't know. I can't remember all the names, but it definitely weren't the ones they use in Macross. This just does not fit right. I'm trying to see if there's something I can do with this. I'm not sure. This isn't going to be exposed, so I may just have to just glue it together as best it'll go. Not worry about it. The biggest thing is this vent. Exhaust vent, whatever you want to call it. This has to fit in here. I may have to use some CA glue to kind of gap fill it, but we'll see. Yeah, anybody that was a kid of the 80s probably learned about Japanese anime through Macross. So hats off to you if you're one of those lucky few like myself. So I'm just going to put some glue down and get this piece at least held in place. I also have a couple of those EMI Mospita kits, the ride armor, the variable ride armors, and the Legios. I've also got a Wave Legios as well, the blue one. But those, like these, when I was trying to decide what I was going to build for this Hold the Gold competition, I wanted to use one of the ride armors, but I was talking with Zacharias, who's basically monitoring or moderating the contest. Excuse me. He and I were talking to each other, trying to figure out what the production date was for those two kits, because in order to enter this contest, you have to build something that's 96 or older. Now, EMI was producing kits until 2006, and HobbyLink Japan had those same EMI kits listed there as 19. I think it was 2002. So I don't know if that was an original, like if it was the original mold, I could have got away with using it, even though if it was a reprint, if it was still a reprint of the original molds, it had never been retooled, then I could go ahead and use it. So it was just too difficult to prove whether or not they would be usable. So rather than screw around or than fight with it, I just decided, I'll just use this one. This is another interesting kit. I know this one says 1984 on the box, so that's where we're at, and that's why I'm using. That's why I'm building this one instead of the ride armor. So that's all right. Another day, another time. We'll get together with that. So I think for now, I'm going to just glue this in. Not too happy with the fit, though. This is one of the fiddliest fits that I've had so far. This has actually been pretty decent considering its age up to this point, but so far this piece has been a little bit, of this section, a little bit more, not as good a fit. I may need to do some gap filling up here. There's a couple of edges, like right where this vent hits. You can see right here, a little bit of a line there, and then down at the bottom, a little fiddling, a little bit of a gap there. I might be able to just sand this back to match this level, and it will change. It'll look a little bit better. But for now, that's where we're at. So video. Boy. Okay. Everybody's blowing me up right now. Why do they always choose the time where I'm in a live stream to blow up my phone? I just don't understand that. Popular today, I guess. Okay, we're going to do the other side, I guess. So let me grab these runners again. We got 113. That's this one here. And then 106. All right, and last but not least, there we go. This is 71. All right, so we're basically building on both outer legs at this point. Child of the 80s, yep. Most of us are. I think most of the people that follow me are. At least close enough to my age that wow, this one's nice and clean. Not as much flash. That one had some horrible flash on it. It was really bad. All right. Not this one. I still got some nubs on that other piece to clean up. I didn't do it yet, but we'll get there. Okay, that one's pretty good. All right. Let's see if this side fits better. Yeah, pretty good. Not bad. Yeah, I'm not worried too much about the fit on this here because this surface is not going to be seen. It'll be basically closed up in the leg, outside of the leg. Yeah, this side's fit quite a bit better than the other side did. All right. Yeah, I don't remember seeing a ton of Gundam stuff growing up. I mean, it was like Voltron. You had Voltron, and then you had Robotech. That was the two big things that I watched growing up, as far as Japanese anime would go. So yeah, this one fits a little bit better. I'm just going to glue that down. It's going to be quite a bit of masking when this thing gets ready for paint. I'm trying to scratch build a sci-fi looking tool compressor. What is that? Scratch build a tool compressor. What scale? Are you trying to build something for a project you're working on, or something for work or something? There we go. That's pretty good. I got a little bit of a gap up at the top, but one seam is easier to fix than two. So I'm okay with pressing that down and letting it, fill in nicely here. I can worry about that. I can fill that with some CA or something maybe later. All right. So I know I can build these pieces. And these are some solid leg pieces that are just, two halves coming together, some polycaps and things inside. I don't have any painting to do or any seams to, or any other pieces on the outside. When I get to the next step, though, I'm probably going to have to hold off until I get some of that painting done. Ooh, 124 scale. Oh, Right. Because you're doing, what was it you're building again? Not the compressor, but I think, did you tell me what you got? Or did you show me? I think you did. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people's builds lately, so I'm trying to remember if you showed me what you're building for that. All right, so last of the metal pieces coming in now. This is the hip joint here, and for an old kit, I'm pleasantly surprised by some of the metal parts, because obviously plastic would be a lot harder to use for these joints and stuff like that, to make them solid. Ooh, the Quedlin row. That's right. Oh, so you're trying to do... Well, wait a minute. If you're doing your 124 old gold build, then... But you're saying, are you doing the Quedlin row for the old gold or something else? I'm sorry. If I'm getting confused, I apologize. I know you mentioned the Quedlin row, but I didn't realize that's not the same scale. 124. I'm trying to figure out what we're talking about. All right. In the meantime here, I try to get some of these poly caps off. I gotta cut. Looks like, well, I gotta do 4 of these. Let's take that off. All right, so that's an M. Oh boy. So these are offset. I have to pay close attention to the direction on these. These poly caps are offset, so if I get quiet for a second, it's because I want to make sure I get the orientation right. These have to go on a certain way. All right. Okay, so this goes this way. I guess the short side goes, we'll call it forward. Let's try this side. Oh, wow, that's a tight fit. And that's good. Yeah, that goes on there pretty snug. Well, that just means that's going to be a nice tight joint, I think. So we're good to go. Let's see, okay. Do that twice. Short side goes forward. All right. Okay. Oh, we got another one. 19. Yeah, that's polycaps falling off. All right, one of those is here. So I did have one fall off, but I've got it. Finally, one of the ones that fell off I can use. This one's about ready to fall off. Okay. All right, that is for the polycaps. Now I need 117 and 116. Scale of the Amelia Pilot is 144. Scale. Let me put this on screen. I'll read it out loud for everybody. Scale of the Amelia Pilot is 144. Scale human makes Amelia roughly 124 scale figure based on the measurements. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. So, okay. So are you making a small then, like a vignette or something, or a diorama? That's interesting. Your approach, I like that. Now, are you building? No, you're not building the Hasagawa one because Hasagawa is at 172. You're doing old school Bandai. Hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you got right. I mean, other than sitting down and doing the math right now, but which I don't feel like doing. It's your project. You figure it out. But yeah, I see what you're saying with those two obvious different sizes with everybody. Um, with the characters, you've got to fudge around with scale to make it look right. 116, 117. All right, so that's these two. Oops. Quite get that one out. There we go. One more. All right. Okay, we'll need that later. Maybe a diorama. That's cool. Dioramas are fun, especially if you have the time and the patience to finish it. I was going to do a diorama with the Hasagawa clay then row. And then, I got into doing whatever it is I was doing. I wanted to start the next project. Just realized I was, before I did my flooring, I was like, I cannot get into, doing another huge project like this. Actually, I gotta, wait a minute. I got it. Huh. Oh, that's correct. Okay, never mind. I thought I had it backwards. All right, so this goes this way. This is going to go in like this. God, this is weird, the way these fit together. All right, so this, this doesn't even fit in there tightly. It's funny they say, don't glue this, but these poly caps, I mean, they have no way of holding themselves in unless unless there's something there. But this has got to fit. This is really tight. Okay, there we go. So there's two of these like poly caps that kind of hold this rod in place, and then this comes down to complete the clamshell. I guess that's it there. It fits pretty square. The panel line on the inside is actually better than the one on the outside. This is a really faint line here. I'm going to have to rescribe that. Even the one on this side is not as crisp as the line on the inside. First, let me separate these just so slightly so I can get some glue in there. Wow. And here I was talking about the fit being pretty good, but I gotta say, these last few steps have just been kind of like, oh shit, not that great. I'm just wondering if it's like flash or something that it's kind of getting in the way, and I'm not. Oh, you know what? There is a little bit. That's what it was. I was trying to put these two halves together, and it just felt like something was kind of getting in the way, and I saw a little tiny bit of flash on that one piece, and that was causing some interference there. Now, there we go. That's better. All right. Well, again, one little tiny alignment pin. You can't even say it's like a peg. It's not even a peg. It's more like a dimple, like an alignment dimple. There's hardly anything that holds these or lines these two pieces up. Quite a bit of cleanup. It's a huge seam. Let's see if I can get it together now. All right. Yeah, I'm going to squeeze this one pretty tightly. Let's see if I can just separate this just slightly. I'm going to put some more in there. I'm going to get a little more glue in here. This is the front seam especially. It's going to be the one exposed mostly. The more of a bead you have sticking out, you know, when you squeeze these parts together, the easier it's going to be to get rid of that seam. Yeah, this is an ugly one. Yep, definitely kid of the 80s. These do not line up. Not only do they not line up really well, you know, the two halves are just not even matched. There's going to be quite a bit of sanding and rescribing. I do like the way that hip joint feels, though. It's pretty tight, which is going to be good for, you know, holding the weight of this kit. I don't know how heavy this thing is, but yeah. And then the funny thing is, this polycap is supposed to just kind of float right in the middle there, but look, it falls right out. There's nothing to keep it in. So let's see. Yeah, the other one too. You put, yeah, it just falls right out. So those get to sit here until I actually can start putting the lower knee. This is the upper thigh, so it'd be the knee section or something together. But first, I'm going to get to the other leg here and do that side. So I need to cut a few more pieces out, I think. Did I not cut them out? Nope, I left it right here. All right. So do you have another Miria figure? I get a figure kit, or did you get a print of something? There's a ton of flash on this piece. It's really bad stuff. Because I don't think, at least I don't remember, the Bandai kit coming with a pilot. I don't think it did it? Or you're just talking about, for the sake of, you know, assembly, building at that scale, you want to have accessories that match the scale, which would make sense. All right, so again, this piece drops in. I think there's any additional flash here. Make sure I've got it on this side. Okay. This should fall together. Yeah, this one actually fits pretty good. It fell together pretty closely without any fuss. just getting quite a bit of glue in these gaps. So when I finally squeeze this together here, it should ooze out like I want it to. All right. Again, very few alignment pins, if any. More like a dimple. So this one fits in a little bit tighter. That one will actually stay. So I guess I'll leave that polycap in this leg, because that one actually had a little bit more tension. You can kind of hear it snapping in there. Pabs, what's up? Chris is in the house. How you doing, man? Jiminy's, yeah. Old school, man. 1984. And it's starting to look a lot like it right now. It's been some really rough fitting pieces here lately in the last couple steps. For the most part, early on, the arms and everything seem to go pretty well, but as I'm getting to the legs, it's getting kind of ugly. So, just got the upper legs here roughly glued together. And now we'll see what else is next. More polycaps. Yay. 35. How is 35? Oh, there it is. So grab this. Oh, this is the hip section here. Part of the lower torso, but part of where the hip joint, this pin goes into. All right. So you working on anything, Chris? I haven't talked to you in a minute. So how's it been? You got any special thing going on other than your podcast? Oh, and by the way, everybody, if you haven't checked out the Built Sideways podcast, you need to. It's a group of four or five guys. Lots of cool subjects as far as the hobby, modeling community goes. Good to check it out. I need to do a better job of going back. I don't always catch them when they're live, but I need to catch them when they're, or maybe, I don't even know if you do them live. Maybe you don't do them live. Talk about old the gold. Yeah, you're not kidding, Chris. This is getting fugly. But if it looks like chaos, because on the bench you can't see much here. There's a bunch of parts all over. It's because I'm just trying to get some of the sub-assemblies together so I can discover what I've got to glue in place and because this is designed to be a variable kit. So I got to figure out what I can glue in place, where I got to put some black paint to cover up, whether I'm going to fill holes or cover up large open gaps, because the feet, just have some stupid open gaps they're necessary for the transformation process. But since I'm not transforming this, I don't need to do that. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get as much as I can assembled without any paint right now. I'm going to have to start doing some interior painting of some of these where you can see inside of things. I want to make sure it's black in there. So, but other than that, I think this is a 23. Let me see. Oh shit! There's one. Well, that's one left. There should be more than one of those. Oh yes. Okay, so this is a 23. I was correct. Anyway, yeah, go check out the Built Sideways podcast. A lot of good stuff there. right, so 32 and 33. That's another couple pieces I need here. And they are here. All right. So there's 2 of each of these. Simple enough. All right. This kit, has a funny way of sandwiching like polycaps in between parts. It's just like, you can definitely see the engineering differences between something of this era versus something, modern. I mean, they literally want you putting this polycap in here, and there's nothing to hold it in place. It just sits there. It just floats. I mean, what's to make this? Like, if I put these two together, I mean, yeah, you can hear it rattling around inside. But I guess you're still able to line it up. I guess once you lay it flat like this, it kind of centers itself. But if it's just sitting in there without, it's like, all right, whatever. And it says don't glue it. Like, well, how could I? I couldn't. It's floating around inside. There's no way I could glue it in there. And I guess I could put some CA in there, but and nothing's going to stick to, this thin cement won't necessarily stick to the polycap enough to worry about. It's just funny how they did, the processes that they did back in the 80s. It's just, definitely did not have the engineering or the thought, the way they designed this stuff back then. All right, we're gonna let that dry. I got to do another one for the other side, so I might as well do it now. Had to do some maintenance on the spray booth. Still working on the Twin Tower. Refresh my memory. I'm not sure I know what that is. Twin Tower. Is that a... Oh, wait. Is that big... that big 5-star stories kit you're doing? Is that what you're talking about? Twin Tower. It's been a while. I don't know if you tell me what that is. Anyway, I'm sure you'll let us know here in a minute. All right, and we will glue this one together because I know I'm going to need this for the other side. I'll make sure this fits together properly and centers itself. Yeah, it does. Okay. Julie says, Chris, how close are you to finishing that? Are you talking about the 5-star stories one? Because I remember you showing me like just the legs of that thing. Maybe that's why you're calling it Twin Towers. It was like stupid big. 6 foot or tall or some shit. Can't remember. All right. A little bit of extra glue here so I can... Not too much. Again, very tiny little alignment dimples. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. They're not alignment pins, they're alignment dimples. Just to get these parts lined up. And they don't fit, they still move around. Like, yeah, they're there to kind of line things up, but I mean, seriously. If you didn't watch what you were doing, you could easily glue these together way off center. All right, so those two are together. All right, 10 after. We got about 20 more minutes. Folks, we're doing good. Okay, so this here, I'll take the first one I just did, even though it's not, I haven't sanded or anything. I'm just going to do a rough fit here. Oh, wait, see, this is keyed. It has to go in a certain way. There's a notch. It keeps that notched forward. Okay, so that pops out that way. So it looks like this joint is designed to slide in for whatever reason. And then this goes on like that. So there is, I guess, that is the, now you can pop this in too, but it won't go that far because of the, whatever's behind it. But I guess if you needed to slide that in, because I'm looking at, trying to see, well, it looks like in the Orgoroid mode, this is fully extended. So this is where the hip will sit. Gosh, that's kind of sticking way out. And then you look at like that polycap, it slides in and out. You know, it's like, it's so short. You go in as far as it'll go, that's it. But it still pops and moves around. Yeah. I wonder if I should try to glue that and keep it out. Just so, because when I press this in, I want that joint to go as far in, but the problem is it pushes the polycap back about looks like maybe about a 1/16 of an inch, a little bit more. So then that's as far as I can get it to go. You can see that play in and out. I don't know. God, that's kind of wonky. I may have to try to take some CA and just I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a tiny bit of CA, I'm going to pop it in there, and I'm going to press this in and then pull it back out. That should push this, pull that polycap up against the hole. And then I can let that dry in that position. So, time to do a little surgery here. I'm going to take one of my toothpicks and I'm going to just put a little bit down in there. Don't need much. I just need to be able to keep that polycap from moving backward. Hope I'm not ruining this. All right, let's try this. Like that. Pull it out. Let it dry. So what I did is I pressed in that, pressed it in slightly so that I could pull it back forward against the outside edge. It also lines it up at the same time. Hopefully there's enough there that will, that's a lot. Yep, too much. All right, so now I'll do this again. In, out, there. Okay. That should hold it. So if you're wondering what I just did, I'll show you. So that polycap wants to fall down inside. So when I pressed in the pin, of course, then it only goes in so far because the polycap pushes back and lands in the back. So what I did is by putting a little bit of glue on top of it, I pressed in the pin and pulled it out up against this surface here. And now I'm going to let that set and dry before I reinsert that pin. And that should, theoretically, the glue holds, should keep everything. So I'll have a tighter fit because I want that hip joint to go as far in as possible and not have all that free play. Let's dump my, I like to dump the nibs, get a stack of nibs on the suction buckle here. So, okay, other side is this other piece we need to pull off here. This is just the other side of that hip assembly. And again, this is keyed. So this will only fit in one direction, just like that. Yeah, they even show like the pin here sticking out a certain way, distance. I just wish that gap wasn't so big. Wonder if there's something I can do with that, but I can't really do much else with it here because that's pretty much where it stops. I don't know. All right. Now, there is supposed to be a pilot figure for this. I won't be using the cockpit that's exposed here. There is a glass dome that goes over this. You're not even going to see that because it's going to be basically located in the lower torso, the crotch portion, I guess. You want to call it anything other than that. That's where that cockpit is designed. So if you look at the illustration here, this is what I'm assembling right here. Those are those square pieces that come out for the hip. So that cockpit's kind of in this area. We're not even going to see that because it's going to be closed up. If you look at the other modes, you can see it open here. I'm not worried about painting that pilot figure or anything because you're not going to see it. So I guess I can assemble. I'm going to wait. I've got some seams to fix. There's so many seams, like even these little square pieces that where the hip joints pop into, those have all got to be fixed. So even those are going to need to be fixed before I can go any further with that. So let's see if there's anything else I can do with the legs. I don't think there is. I got the knee portion here. These are the knees, and then next page here has us putting the legs together with the feet and everything. So yeah, it's like, gosh, you can only go so far. The wings are going to be a challenge because the wings are warped pretty bad. I showed this last week, but I'm going to show it again. If you look straight down, this is the runner. I mean, you can see the warp in the runner. But look at the wings here. I mean, they're just bent. Let's see, maybe this way you can see it. Yeah, they're just really bad, especially this one on the bottom. It's got this huge bow to it. So that's going to be fun fixing that. I may have to use several clamps or heat it up. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I guess we'll figure that. We'll cross that bridge later. The leg even has a, like this one, even at the outer leg here actually has a connection for the gun. If you were to, mount the, see if this fits on there. It's supposed to. There we go. It's kind of a tight fit, but there's even a mount for the gun on the leg, but we wouldn't be using that anyway because that's only for one of the other modes. All right, I'm just going to leave that there. Arms, everything's kind of falling apart because I can't glue anything together until I get some of these interiors done. So I guess that's what I'll do from now on. That's for the rest of this evening here. Let me just pull this arm apart. This is the right arm. One pulley cap. So I was talking about earlier about painting some of these interiors black, and that's what I do with the enamels. Sometimes it's time to scratch build some wings. I don't know about that. I mean, I'll find out. I guess if they don't work out well at all, I may have to, but I don't know about that. Ooh, that's one thing about this Tamiya enamels. Have you guys own this stuff? It's stinky. Definitely got some stinky to it. This is gloss black too. I wish I had flat black. You know what? For flat black, I can just use my flat black. I don't need to. I'm not worried about if it's lacquer or not. So I'm not worried about brush strokes. I'm just painting it. I'm just coloring these interiors, darkening them up. So I'm just going to take my bottle of good old Mr. Color, number 33, flat black. Give it a quick mix. Looks like I can thin it out a little bit. So I'm going to grab some of my NLT, Mr. Leveling Thinner. A little bit in here. Like so. Get a little stir. That's better. It's okay if it's thick. I mean, I'm just brushing this in the interiors to kind of darken any of those areas that you could see into the, because it's a transformational kit. Some of the stuff I'm covering up, but some of the stuff I can't, like the joints, the elbows and stuff like that. So I just want those exposed areas inside, like the arms and legs, like that. If you can see in there, I'm going to make it black, so it's a little bit less, of an eyesore. Plus, it'll kind of give it a little bit of that anime feel too, because of those black interiors. You can't see those details. They never light them up. So I'm just going to grab a medium-sized brush here. And we'll paint some of these in. Actually, I think I want to sand this. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to just take my black and I'm going to go in. I don't need to worry about the edges here. The edges I'll leave white because those will get painted, but I want to do all these interior, all this whole area here, I'm just going to cover in black. Again, I'm not worried about brush strokes because I just want to take away any reflective surface inside, any of this white that can be seen from the outside. Actually, I'm going to thin this out a little too much, but I can always grab another bottle and add a little bit to it. So this way, if you do see those little gaps between the elbows and stuff, you're not going to see that white color inside that bare plastic or whatever. It's just going to be flat black. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just all right, I'm gonna let that one dry. Do the other side now. You can go back. Either I can get, another a little bit more, open another bottle up and take some black out. I did thin this a little bit more than I want to for hand brushing, but it'll still work. It's just a little bit thinner. So once that has a chance to dry a little bit, and it will dry pretty quickly, after all, it is lacquer. So I can go back over and just kind of touch up some of those areas, maybe if need be, add on a little coat of it. It'll be fine. When I get done here, then I'll show what it looks like after we put these two pieces back together. You'll see the effect that I'm going for. I think, though, for this, for an anime paint scheme, though, for this time, last time I did an anime scheme, I used, pretty much used the pens and only the pens. I never even took the paint off, and you can actually take those paint pens and put a nice enough, you can get enough paint on a palette and basically use a brush and paint it on, hand brush it. I did most of it by hand with just the pens, but you can go and actually hand paint them on with a brush. So that's probably what I'll do, because you have a little bit more control over it, even if you have the problem is the pens are only a certain this certain diameter. You can only get so small with those tips on the tips of the paint pens. So if you want to get really fine detail, you need to be able to use a brush or something, or hand paint it. So that's what I can do. I discovered that I can saturate the tip and get, extrude more paint than what would be necessary to use the pen into like a metal cup, and then actually use a paintbrush and hand paint it. So I'm going to put this together real quick so you guys can see what this looks like. And it's not going to be dry yet, but we're running out of time here for this episode. So I'll clean my brush here real quick. And then I'll roughly assemble these two pieces again. Let's put this back in the holder. Open that up. All right. So this, I need this piece here. Oops, goes like that. And this goes here. And this, oops, I forgot the elbow. So we'll just pop that on. All right, so I'm just going to roughly stick this together real quick. Okay. So now, there we go. So now if you look like past the wrist, you see it's all, or even like the elbow here, all those interiors are black. I don't mind. I mean, this is going to get painted, but at least all that is going to be black in there. And that way you don't have to worry about those white surfaces in there. Everything will look, it'll just have that anime look, especially once the paint is done. It's going to increase that overall look. It'll look just, just like the anime. Like the lower, you can see like below the wrist there. These pieces aren't lined up, and I gotta glue them. But anyway, that's where we're at. That's the idea behind that. So put this back real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of time here. It's 7:30, 10:30 Eastern time, and that's when. So we go back here so we can see, like, this is just the carnage going on in this thing. Again, my weekends are pretty busy right now. Actually, they're really busy. I cannot do any work on the weekends. So everything that I'm doing is during the week, before and after Wednesday. So I'll try to do a little bit. Tomorrow evening. We're going out with some friends. So I probably won't get any work done then. Where did the time go? I know. Where did the time go, Julius? But you were the first one here. You got to see a whole hour and a half of this program. So anyway, tomorrow evening, nothing going to get done. Friday, probably not going to get anything done because that's when we're packing the car and getting ready for the weekend because we don't even come back until Sunday night. So every week right now is Friday through Sunday are pretty much not even here to do any work on this project. So I really only have time on maybe Monday, Tuesday, maybe a little bit before Wednesday before the show starts, and then I do a little bit Thursday maybe, and that's it. Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, all the work we get done Wednesday. So it's slow going, and it was going to be. That's why I might have a hard time making the deadline, but we're going to try. We're going to try it out. So anyway, everybody, thanks for joining in. Chris, Julius, Nick. I'm sorry, Nick wasn't here tonight. Mike, Force Goes Mike. Let me go back over here. Freddie, that guy, Giovanni. Let me go back there. That's pretty much it, right? Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. Support the channel. Tell your friends. Log on and like and subscribe that YouTube channel as well. You can find me as Gundam Owning Works on all three platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. So that makes 4, right? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Mikey can count. So until next time. So we're gonna keep plugging along. I'm gonna try to do some seam fixing here, so we can start assembling more of this stuff. But you see where I've got to do the black painting. So like on these legs and on the feet, so like that, I gotta paint those interiors black. So at least if I don't cover them up completely, you won't be able to see some of those exposed joints and stuff like that a kit from the 80s didn't give a shit about, and they just left them exposed. But so I get the hands done. Those are working out nicely. I really like the way they look. Legs are coming along a little bit by bit, but we'll get there. So talk to you soon. Be good humans, and we'll catch you on the flip side. So anybody else got anything to say last minute? Nope, doesn't look like it. All right. See you guys.